Apart from the other reports that you gave, which other constituencies have you been, and what has been the general impression so far?
So I visited the Cape Coast North constituency as well, and specifically the Abba Park, where there's a polling station at the Abba Park. And interestingly, the numbers in there was a little out in comparison to some of the polling centers that I visited here at the Cape Coast South constituency. There has been calm there as well. Anytime I get to speak to a security officer or a PO in charge of a particular polling center, it tells me that the processes have been calm. The people, they come in once to do their voting. And so because they know voting ends around 5 p.m., some people are taking a bit of time and they don't want to rush the process. And just as I speak with you can see people in your shot there at the Methodist Church amount for two trying to join the process. So as you can see, they come in once to go through the processes, and it has been quite calm, at the various constituencies that I have visited, the Cape Coast North and South, where I am currently.
Bernard, thank you very much. Bernard Abiyokoche. So we'll come back to you, Bernard, and speak to you and get reaction from other constituencies that you visit, but we hope and pray that the peaceful nature as it has started will end at 5 p.m. with the same peace that we are enjoying as far as this voting process is concerned. Kwaku, generally, Central Region is peaceful. We've not recorded, pockets of incidents, and there's a hope and expectation that it will go down the line when voting and counting, when the tension is up, we'll still have recorded peace that we have in this particular region.
Yes, absolutely. Well, we've been joined right now on the set this afternoon by Madam Kathleen Addy. She's the chairperson for the National Commission for Civic Education. Madam Addy, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, how have you been?
Well, we have been doing our part. The public education has been really ramped up this year. We've done a lot, and we are still working today. We have our own situation room set up.
Okay.
We have our staff and directors across the country giving reports, because they're all observers at the different polling stations. So they're out there reporting from their stations. Our situation room is collecting all the information. We also have some hotlines for them, for those who are reporting outside of the reporting time. So they have the software set up where they report at particular times, and then in between where they have the incidental reports as well. They also have 3 lines that they can call into and report as well. So we are ready on that side. Personally, I've been going around different constituencies in the city this morning. I haven't observed anything untoward.
Okay.
It's going very peacefully. In fact, initially I thought, it looks like the turnout is rather low. Then I realized that actually there's an increase in the number of polling stations, and that has made a vast difference, because people are saying, oh, but there are no queues, so people are not voting. But I think it's because of the increase in the number of polling stations. And the polling stations are very well organized. They have enough staff. The observers, the police are also alert and on point. I think it's going well. We must commend the institutions that have made this happen. Honestly, they've done a good job so far.
Okay. What for you, what pre-election, what was your priority in terms of the commission?
Right. For pre-elections, all of this year, we've focused our voter education on 4 key issues. Because this year, the idea was to go beyond just telling people that vote this way, this is how the mechanics of voting, to getting people to think about why we are voting. What should the criteria for selecting somebody be? And so because of that, we've focused on these 4 thematic areas all through the year. One being monetization of politics and the implications, and the fact that people think that, oh well, it's not that big a deal. I'm just taking my share, that sort of thing. We are cautioning the public against that attitude, because it's actually dangerous. It's potentially an existential threat to the state. And then also we've been talking about the normal things around violence, intemperate language, insults, and just poor quality campaigning, you know what I mean? And urging people, we are 30 years plus into the Fourth Republic. We really should have outgrown some of these things by now. I mean, by now we should be in a position where politicians do not feel that they have to, poison
Atmosphere.
public commentary and atmosphere with negativity in order to get heard. I think that if you have a message, you have a vision, the idea is to get people to buy into that. I don't know how insults help that. I don't know how deploying violent tactics gets you more votes.
Yeah.
So we would have expected that by now politicians will have that understanding, so that at the end of the day we can start eliminating these practices from the political culture. We've also been talking a lot about fake news, misinformation, and disinformation, and I know that even the media houses are suffering. They are becoming victims of that. In fact, one of my favorite jokes when I get on air these days is to say that when it comes to misinformation and disinformation, as soon as the media houses started becoming victims, the issue became an agenda setting that now is very topical. They're very serious about it and all of that. So it's very important, because people react to issues based on their perception. So if somebody's out there deliberately trying to create a certain perception out there, that perception is not for good, but it's for ill, then we have to understand that this is dangerous for our country. And in fact, some of it that has been done so far has been pretty bad. And over the next couple of hours, I'm hoping and praying, but I suspect that the incidence of fake news will go up as we start counting, as results start trickling in. And I urge all Ghanaians to let's all have this at the back of our mind, that there are people out there trying to use us to execute their own agenda. You are not part of the agenda. So using your data, your eyeballs and your resources to promote other people's agenda by sharing does not inure to your benefit in any way. So we should be careful about the things we share, especially in the next few hours, to ensure that we don't become participants of spreading fake news. The last one is religious tolerance, and where on that issue, over the last couple of months, in fact, I feel it's one of the high points of the work that we've done over the last maybe 18 months preparing for elections. Is the unanimous agreement amongst the faiths, plus NCCE, plus Peace Council, and every other stakeholder, that we will not allow anybody to divide us on religious lines. The Christian Council, the Catholic bishops, the charismatics, we've spoken to all of them. We've engaged with the chief imam, we've engaged with the Ahmadiyas, and all the different faiths in all their iterations. We've engaged with them that this year we will not allow, we are all in agreement. And in fact, I think that agreement has accounted for religion not becoming an issue so much that the incident, I mean, there are some incidents, but it's rather on the low side, and we are very grateful for that. And also, it actually speaks to the maturity of Ghanaians. I mean, I just heard, was it here, that somebody was carrying food somewhere and they were hooted away. We saw the reaction to an MP sharing food and the public reaction to that. I think it all indicates that we are growing.
You think the education is going down well?
The education,
when it comes to monetization?
Education is going well. When it comes to the monetization, is another issue.
That was going to be my next question.
Yes, the money, the food giving and gift giving is an element of that. It's money and gifts. It's all influence, trying to buy. You're trying to buy votes. Whether food or the funniest one I heard the other day, somebody who had just received a meal from a candidate. And then when they were asked, somebody was trying to discuss it, they said, "Oh, but it's cooked food, it's not raw food, so it's okay." I heard this yesterday from another station. Oh, but this is cooked food, it's not all right, it's okay. But we are growing, and then we must grow past these things as well. Whether we will get to a point, must get to a point where voters don't require you to feed them, or do you understand? There's no gap there. They come, they've eaten, they are making decisions based on criteria that inures to their own.
Have we reached there yet?
Maybe not, but we are definitely getting there. Look, in the past, you will hardly see such a reaction to somebody trying to share food. You see what I mean? It's small steps, but it's progress. Now, when it comes to money, that's where we've actually seen retrogression.
Because today we've had reports of
yeah, we've seen
some constituencies.
retrogression when it comes to money, because with money it used to be, you know, whispered. It was
And
something
it's
that
done in
people
secret.
did done in secret. Nobody wanted anyone else to see that they were doing that.
Yeah.
Here we are. Those giving the money are boldly granting interviews and telling us how much they're giving to who. And then the worst part is that those on the receiving end are now demanding.
Yeah.
Are demanding that you have to give me money, otherwise I will not vote. And again, if you look at it on an individual basis, you may say, well, it's just me, you know, but if you look at it collectively, it's very dangerous. Again, what we are doing is saying that the democracy is for sale. If the democracy is for sale, the whole country is for sale.
Yeah.
One day, somebody will go and take money from a very dangerous source, a drug cartel somewhere, and come and dump it on all of us. And we are all doing well. I'm taking my share, and we give the country to them. Do you understand the implications of something like that happening? And it is very real. CDD finds out that, you know, for primaries, the average
Cost over $300,000.
Let's be conservative and say
Yeah.
250. You know, let's take into consideration the smaller constituencies. Even $200,000, where does
That's a
one
lot of
find
money.
that kind of money
That's a lot
to
of
go and
money,
run
yeah.
a campaign? Do you understand? If you can find that money to set up a business, to run a business, I can understand how you can get that money. But to get that money just for campaign, something is not right.
Kati, the counter argument for that will also be that the people are demanding. If I don't pay, I don't get elected. If I decide not to pay, my opponent will pay. My opponent will get elected. I will not get my ambition.
I agree. And this is one of the issues where we must have consensus around. Just like what I talked about, the religious intolerance. Yeah. Even the political parties, at least formally, have said that it shouldn't be an issue, right? We must have consensus around those things. And I'm the eternal optimist, as you know already. I am never of the view that there's this issue that we can never come to a consensus about. Let me tell you what will bring the consensus. It's a combination of things. Yeah. Good public education, aggressive law enforcement, right? Social consequences. Those kinds of things, right? A combination of this will put this thing to a stop.
When you say social consequences,
let me explain that to you. That as a society, once we elect leaders, we have been negligent in holding them to account properly, you know. And I'm not talking about demonstrations and things like that. There are easier ways of holding people to account. So, for instance, when it comes to people who use intemperate language, insults, incitement, and all of these things, all of them are our relatives. They are our family members. We go to church with them. Yeah. They are our colleagues at work. They are in our associations, our social associations. They are part of the fabric of society. Why are we not holding them accountable in those spaces? Okay. Why is it that when people go out there and do all that, they can come to church that very Sunday or and then be given places of honor and be hailed as honorable.
You even take testimonies from them.
When we know that just 3 days ago, these people were misbehaving. Yeah. We have to call them out. Okay. Somebody has to get up and say, I mean, you are a member of our congregation and respect you, but this thing we are doing, we don't like it. Our congregation, we don't like it. You can't do that and be part of this congregation. We must start doing those things. If somebody is in your social club, in your Lions Club or Rotary Club, and they do these things and they come for club meeting, let's call them out and shame them. You see, because sometimes those things are even more powerful than legal consequences, because the society in which you live is what you interact with on a regular basis. And if that society is making it difficult for you to exhibit a certain kind of behavior, you will think twice about doing it.
Kati, not to cut it quick, before perhaps this is my final question, so you take over. The quality of campaigning.
Yes.
Have we observed quality campaigning been on issues this time around in this particular election? From your observation, what you said.
Yes, there's been a focus on issues, but that has not been all. There's also been the negative element.
The personal attacks.
The personal attacks, the insults, the threats. I mean, if you're a politician and you get a platform and yours is to threaten all of us that if you don't win, there'll be a problem, how do we then go and vote for you? It's not even in your interest to say that. Who votes for people who are threatening to beat them up if they don't vote for them? You understand? So again, small steps, right? The issue-based campaign is very strong. we see that there's a lot of interrogation of the promises that people are making. There's interrogation of manifesto commitments. There's a lot of interrogation around the issues that we see as our common problems. And there are direct questions being asked. You know, we held the parliamentary dialogues across the country. In every constituency, we had a dialogue that we invited the candidates to come. In some places, one candidate will come, one will not come, but that's fine. Many places, both candidates were there. And in that town hall forum, they had to take questions, excuse me, from the people gathered. These are people who live in the constituency. These are the people who elect them, you know. And all those were issue-based engagements, you understand? And so there's a push for more and more of that, and it's gaining traction. At the same time, the negative elements are still going strong, and we have to work even harder to ensure that, you know, we eliminate that. You know, I believe strongly that people will respond to how we reward behavior. We reward the right type of behavior. We will get more of that. That doesn't mean that wrong behavior will be eliminated, but the more you reward the right type of behavior, the more of that you will get. If we make, for instance, people understand that if you make promises that we all know you cannot keep, it will go against you in terms of who you vote. If you are running for office as a parliamentarian, and you know very well that you don't have the means to build roads, to build schools, to build hospitals, to do this and that, and you don't have the means, yet you go there and boldly make these promises, and we will hold it against you because we are that well informed. That's the kind of place we're trying to get to, where they will think twice about the things that they say and the commitments that they make to people, because the people are that enlightened, that well informed, and will hold them to account.
Now, I like your last line there, but I want to ask a question before we get to that one. The issue of vote buy, the issue of campaign financing.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
How do we get to the place where I don't know whether limiting or controlling is the right thing to do, but it appears that there doesn't seem to be any limit to how much money Ghanaian politicians can spend on any campaign whatsoever.
Yes. Yes. You're laughing as if these kind of things are impossible.
Oh, God, you know, not really. I as a political reporter, and I've seen quite a number of these things, you know. And one MP or one candidate will tell you, this year I spent this amount. The last election, I spent this amount. And in every election, their budget increases. And so you get scared. You ask, hey, it was as Exactly.
It's actually very
no, it's troubling.
It's very troubling.
So Kat, here is an individual who has spent these amount of money from stage 1 to here. And there's education. Let's reduce it. Is he going to listen?
No. At that point, like I said, education works in tandem with other things.
Okay.
Education works in tandem with law enforcement. On this particular issue, education, law enforcement, and clear policy must all work together and it will happen. If you we are not the only country. There are other countries in the world that are occupied by human beings just like us, right? So if there are structures that can be set up in other places to curb these things, so can we. I'm a strong believer in that. If you have the policy and it's clear that this is it, this is how we are tracking, this is how much you're spending, this is how much we are tracking, and outside of that, we don't want to see any more spending. And if we find evidence of more, so these are the consequences. You are off the ballot.
Okay.
No matter how big and powerful you are, you're off the ballot. We legislate it. We put strong consequences. We set up law enforcement, and we do the public education.
Kati, during the MPP primaries, we saw issues of monetization. The OSP took some of them, and we never heard anything from them.
But that is the problem I'm talking about.
So in this way, how do you discourage the people when
it's not
the law institution or the agencies responsible?
Everybody must be made to work. That's the point I'm making. That if the institutions are all working in tandem, we can get this done. You see what I mean? That obviously is a weakness, is a gap, that people were arrested. And even if there were consequences, we didn't see and we didn't hear. So the issue of deterrence, you miss that whole that whole thing, because consequences are supposed to deter others from going down that same path.
So if you don't know about
so
the
even if there were
consequences,
consequences and we did not get to hear about it, then the deterrent element is lost. You understand? So we must be deliberate in these things. We set up the proper legislature. We do the consultations. We come up with the policy. We do the laws. It's there. We make sure that in these laws there are strong consequences for being found out, going against what has been set up. We set up strong public education so people know they have no excuse, right? And then we unleash all of this. It will change very quickly. It will change very quickly.
You seem very positive and very hopeful, and maybe you're a bit like.
No, it's my nature. I'm a really Ghana positive person because I think this place is an amazing place. I think that Ghana is a place that has so much potential. That one we all know, and we are always just on the precipice of going into that potential, and then we fall back. You know. So we must be asking ourselves, why is that? Because in spite of everything that has happened, the potential is still there. We have great people, we have great resources, you know, and Ghanaians really are not difficult. They're not even asking for much. They are not difficult. Do you understand? If we go to the Matters of Concern report that we did, NCCE, just a couple of months ago, you look at the things that people are looking for. They really just want
the basic things.
The basic, and an opportunity to be the best version of yourself. A just society where your hard work actually makes a difference, where crime is properly punished, where people don't get away with wrongdoing, so that you're trying to do right, you feel bad about trying to do the right thing. If these things, there'll be no problem. You see what I mean? And so that is why I'm positive, because I know that there are steps that we can take to fix these things, and we are just looking for the right set of elements to come together for that to happen. This is not a bad place.
Catherine, we'll continue with you, but Sammy, I understand the president.
The president of the Republic, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, also voted in Chebi, where he's been voting for all these years. And after voting, he spoke to the media and called for peace before, during, and after the election.
The process was excellent, very smooth, very simple.
Comparatively to the number of elections you voted in, how do you see this very well?
This one's very efficient, very, very efficient. I'm happy about that.
So much has been done.
Yeah, but I think apart from today, the reports that are coming in from across the country suggest that this election is going very well and that it is being done peacefully. Ghanaians are showing their commitment to democratic outcomes, and we all have to be thankful to God for that. What I want to tell everybody is, those of you who have yet to vote, please go out and vote. Each vote counts. Your voice matters. And we want to have a situation whereby at the end of the day, the majority of Ghanaians are satisfied with the outcome.
President Akufo-Addo voting in Chebi, his hometown, where he's voted all this while, asking Ghanaians to come out in their numbers and vote, and also calling for peace before, during, and after election. Kweku, 4 years ago,